Today we're going to learn how to use something called cake tempera. Cake tempera is a type of paint that I am going to have you be using in class this year, and it costs about $2 for this cake. It kind of looks like a hockey puck, and you refresh it with water. So we're also going to need a cup of water, half full. You're going to need 2 different brushes, a pencil or pen to write with, a piece of paper towel folded up, and a piece of paper to practice on. So I'm going to let you go ahead and get those items. Okay, so today we're going to be using black tempera cake. So at the top I want you to write tempera cake, the top of your paper. And the element of art we'll be working with today is line. We'll also be using the element of art value. Please write those down on the paper. Now, before we get started with this, I want you to pick up your brushes, and I just want you to kind of take a look at them. There's some different parts of the brush. The first part is the handle. The handle is this part. I believe this part is called the ferrule, and then you of course have the bristles. So when you're holding your brush, you never want to go too far or too close to the bristles. You should always keep your hand on the handle, okay? This one, and some of the brushes have this little grip so that you can kind of get in there and do some detail work. The reason I'm giving you 2 brushes is because I want you to have one medium-sized and one small, so that you'll be able to make different things. For today's demonstration, I am going to use a little bit of both, but I want to start by using the medium brush. So you're going to take your medium brush and you're going to put it in some water, and when you put this brush into the water, you don't want to tap like this because then the water goes everywhere. Just put the brush in the water and just kind of wipe it off the edge like this, okay? And then you're going to take your brush, your wet brush, and kind of just rub it onto the tempera cake. And what you're going to notice is that it's starting to get onto the brush. So what we're going to practice today are a bunch of different lines, okay? The first line I want you to try to make is by pressing the brush down and going kind of across the page. And what you're going to do is you're just going to try to make a nice thick line. You might want to wiggle it a little bit and then pull the line. See what that looks like. Might have to put a little more water on your brush. Don't need much. The next line we're going to make is going to be a thin line. So see if you can keep your brush up on its bristles. It's a thin line. The next line we are going to try to make is a wavy line. So see if you can make some waves that go close. See if you can make some waves that go far away. I think I have enough water now to make the next line. The next line that we're going to make is going to be a broken line. So I want you to try to make some small, people call this a dotted line. See if you can make a dotted line. This next one's it's kind of a fun one to me. What you do is you're going to give it pressure. So when you press down, it's going to be thick, and when you go up, it's going to be thin. So you're going to try to move your brush and move it across the page, and then also press it down as you move, up and down as you go. You may need a little more water. Remember, you want your paint to flow out of the brush. If it's ever scratchy, that means that you don't have enough water. All right, the next one's going to be a scribble, so I just want you to kind of roll around as you go across the page. Next is going to be a zigzag. A zigzag is where you go sharp on top, sharp on bottom, like this. Zigzag. And I want you to try some different zigzags. Try to go close, try to go far. All right. The next line you're going to make is going to be a swirl. And there's 2 types of swirls. We're going to go outside to in. I didn't make the best swirl there, that's okay. And then I'm going to go inside to out. You can see my brush got a little dry there at the end, and that's okay. I'm going to get a little bit more water. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to rinse that out. And again, to rinse out your brush, you're simply going to kind of rub it along the bottom of the cup, and instead of tapping it, don't tap it, just wipe it clean, okay? Then you can come over here to your, and roll that onto your paper towel. So let's get the smaller brush now, and we're gonna try a couple of things. I'm gonna load that up with some of the tempera paint, and we're gonna try a couple different kinds of shapes, okay? The first type of shape is where you're going to outline the shape. So let's just make a simple shape like a circle. Try to paint a circle shape. Don't press, the harder you press, the thicker the line, right? See, there's a thick, there's a thin line. I can get a real thin line with this brush. See if you can make some thin lines. All right, we're still working on the shape here. We did an outline, and now we're gonna fill it. So take a few moments. You might have to reload your brush. And fill the shape. So this method is called outline and fill, okay? And we did some little lines. Let's continue on these little lines. These are kind of nice and satisfying here to make. So if you're doing texture, or if you're wanting to fill in a landscape, or you're doing fur or something like that, you might like something like this. A thicker line might be for something where you're filling in a larger spot. Okay, getting a little bit more water. The second type of shape is called center out. So we're gonna make a circle again, but this time you're gonna start from the center, and you're just gonna try to make the shape by blobbing it on. Now the thing about this, it's gonna look a little different. Now I myself prefer these kinds of shapes that look a little more organic. Try to make a small one too. See if you can make one that doesn't look so perfect. Let's try to make a third one. See if you can make 3 little shapes there, okay? Now, so far we have lots of different types of lines, and in a minute we're going to see if you remember what they're called, and you can label them. And then we're also going to, we also had 2 types of swirls. We went outside to inside and inside to outside. We had the outline and fill-in shape, and then we also had the blob shape where you just kind of go from the center out, okay? All right, the second thing we are going to do, and you saw that at the top there, is we're gonna work on value. And value in art means that you are. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to look at how to create value with black tempera cake. Now on this week that you're using this material, you're only going to have black tempera to work with, plus whatever's in your bag. So you want to think about how you can use it and stretch it the best you can, and that's what we're doing today, is stretching and exploring. Before I let you play around a little bit with it, let me show you about value. Value is the difference between dark and light. So the more water you put on this, the lighter it's going to get. The more tempera you use, the darker it's going to get. So what I'd like you to do is really load up the brush with quite a bit of the paint, and we are going to try to make a solid black shape here. Okay, I'm making a solid black shape. Now I am going to flip my container around. Some of you might have a container like mine, some of you might have a lid on yours. It's the same thing, and I'm going to take some water and I'm going to water down some of this tempera in the cap. Okay, and what you'll see is that when I add a little bit of water to it, it makes a lighter version of that. And why is that? Because the paper's showing through. Now I'm going to add a little more water to my tempera here on the lid, and I'm going to put that one down, and that one should be a little bit lighter than that. And I'm going to keep doing that until I have at least 5 different values. You can see it's getting lighter and lighter as I go, because more and more of the paper is showing through. And then this will be the last one. I want it to be super duper light. So what I'm going to do, I have a trick for this one. I put some on there just to stain the paper a bit, and then I take my paper towel and I blot it so that you can barely see it. Okay? So I would like you to try to do a 5-value scale going from dark to light with your tempera cake. As soon as you have that done, I will let you use the rest of the room on your page to play around, stretch and explore, kind of see what it seems like to write with it. You might want to try writing with it. Okay? You also might want to try drawing something. Try using both brushes again. These are some ideas for you. Both brushes. And anything else that you feel like you might want to try as far as the tempera cake goes. All right, good luck. All right, it's time to clean up your tempera cakes for today. And so what you're going to do first is you're going to rinse both brushes in the water. They do not need to be washed, but you need to rinse them really good. And make sure you even get the ferrule in the handle, get them good and clean, and dry them off really good on your paper towel. These will go into your bag, and you'll be keeping those for the week. Then your tempera cake will also be going into your bag, so you want to make sure all of this extra water you put in here doesn't just dump in here and get all over your stuff in your bag. So you're going to take your paper towel and you're going to blot or wipe up all the rest of that before you close it. Make sure it's good and closed. If your tempera cake is really, really wet, you could also blot that off because this is going to go in the trash. So these two things are going to go into your bag. Your water cup is going to go get rinsed out and be left on the back counter. Your paper towel goes into the trash can. All right, I will be excusing one person at a time from your table to get that cleaned up. Your artwork will go into the drying rack, and I'll tell you about that in just a few moments.